I don't own anything between jeans and jeans. I'm saying
Yeah, that looks good. I think that looks the most chill. Yeah, yeah. There's power right there.
Yeah.
You guys have mat cover too.
Yeah. Everything. Yep, yep, yep. Yep, yep.
Oh, these are. Oh, I see. You don't need much.
And then like you loved it.
I love your outfit.
Especially, well, yeah.
So yeah, we're kind of not make that trip hazard.
Yeah. I know, like it's like yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah. Yeah, it's like yeah, yeah, yeah. Like we one like yeah, it is like this is like channel yeah. So it's been a long day. Yeah. And so on the road, so yeah, yeah, with the neighbors, like it is, and yeah, especially yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, they're going. They're going.
Brad.
No.
Hey, Alex. How are you? Good. How's your week? I know.
Like on YouTube.
Yeah. Yep. Is that your computer?
That's not mine.
No. Oh, maybe that's for the
That might be Chris.
Chris's. Yeah. So, yeah, you gotta figure this out.
Hello.
That's loud. Hello, hello.
That might be for Chris's.
Okay.
So there might be like 2 mics.
Wait, what's Chris's?
Chris is doing the live.
Oh, the live feed. Got it. Okay.
And then,
Yeah, that's the live stream mic. That's the live stream mic. Got it.
and then last night we had just plugged a laptop and his laptop into this.
Okay.
And then
The live stream is actually on right now, so
Oh, so
so
the-
keep profanity to a
All right.
minimum.
So if I'm speaking into this mic though, should I be back behind the podium to?
Yeah, do we need another stand for that mic?
might be nice.
Yeah, that's.
Or can we?
Are you Chris?
No, I'm Jeff.
Oh, Jeff. Okay.
I'm Tippy.
Oh, Alex. Nice to meet you.
I'm Mark. Nice to meet you. Yes.
We've done it.
Yeah, we could. You could hold it, or
I can. Yeah, I don't know.
But it'd be better.
yeah, because people will be reading. I can ask Irene.
have this one, so maybe we could
I'll
keep
go
this
find
one.
it.
on.
I am Melina.
And I think I have another.
It's awesome.
I think my wife confused you with
Yeah, with your
another
brother.
Joe.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Brother, maybe.
Dave,
Oh, Dave.
Yeah, we talked.
cousin.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
cousin.
Yeah, right. Did
Matt.
my son committed suicide for having life? Did it work?
We haven't got it.
You haven't
Oh.
gotten it.
Where's your son?
Oh, he's coming at
Yeah.
the, what?
He's coming in a bit, but I
He's
thought
Yeah.
he sent me, like
Oh, that's really.
LA.
put the sound on the live stream back. So yeah, cut our potty mouths out a little bit. I don't know.
Put it around to see the screen. Got it. Yeah, that's
Well, souls are looking at us. Okay, let's get the other slideshow going.
Oh, yeah, we did. We did. We did. Yeah, right. Yeah. It's okay. I can go look. Yeah, sure.
Hi. Thank you.
So Frank is the first speaker. And then do you know what are you next? Do you know who else is
Yeah,
gonna go?
so I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm
No, I got it. I'll write it down. Write it down.
me
Yeah.
and then Patty. Like, where should we all sit? Like right here, just so we can.
Yeah,
stand
that's
up.
great.
And then Patty, Luke, Matt,
They're all gonna go.
and
Okay, great.
Presley. So that's Matt's daughter. Or wife's daughter. This is daughter.
Okay. So
and-
but they're gonna go in that order: Patty, Matt, Luke, and Presley.
Yeah, I haven't actually talked to them about that specifically, but I think that's probably what we'll do.
Okay.
And then
And then I talked to Rob.
and then then you, Rob, and then we'll open mic it. I want to just ask his cousin if he wanted to say something.
Okay.
And we could put him in the open mic section or in the
Yeah, that's fine.
family
I told Rob
section.
I was gonna have Rob go first in the open mic section.
Oh,
if that's
great.
okay.
Are
Yeah.
you going to do your story at the beginning?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do it
That's
at the
great.
beginning, and then I'll introduce Frank, and then I've got a little remark for the end. And
Are you pulling people up for the open mic?
I think I'll just be around to facilitate and encourage people to come up to the mic, because I think in order for the live stream, we need people to come to the mic.
You're standing up here the whole time?
I'll probably, maybe if you, I don't know if there's a seat you could grab from the corner over there. maybe.
Yeah. How is I going to say something? There's rumor that is he still?
Nico and I will stand there
great.
together. Yeah.
Okay, great. Do you want to go after? Is Patty, Luke, and Presley? I don't
Okay.
know if they're going to use it together or separate.
I'll go with whenever you feel I should
Yeah, just
sit
after
in.
that group.
Okay, yeah.
And then you can stand up.
Yeah.
And Presley, Matt's daughter is coming. What's her name again?
Misha.
Yeah.
So you did that ceremony.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then you're all set.
Yeah. We got. Yeah. We'll see.
Feel free to stage direct.
Yeah.
Are we on a timer, or are we kind of loose and easy on it? I
Did you have it?
I got a 5. Mine ours is 5 minutes.
Oh, yours is 5. That's fine. Oh yeah. And I thought you were asking for one timer for when we start. No, you speak as long
5
as
or
you like.
6. It's a lot less warm than I was fearing.
Oh really?
Yeah.
It's pretty warm
Good
though.
breeze.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello. I'm Mark.
Yeah, Mark. I
Yes,
remember you.
You remember me?
Yeah,
from
yeah,
the- yes,
yeah,
yes, yes.
I do. Hello.
Hi, I'm Erin.
Oh, sorry. I didn't
I'm
introduce myself.
Mark's.
Yeah, I.
Hi, Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I also.
It's, yeah. It's really without sunglasses. Yeah.
Probably the same sunglasses.
Are we?
You guys
is
fly
everybody
from the
slowly?
Netherlands or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yesterday. It was quite nightmarish. We had a 7-hour delay and we're stuck in Montreal airport.
Because of thunderstorms yesterday, or?
I don't know what it was. An aircraft defect, they said.
Yeah, we were in Toronto. Do you do Air Canada?
No, it was Porter.
I guess, yeah.
We were in Toronto. No, we were. Yeah, we were going to Toronto, but people, all the Montreal flights had been severely delayed, so we just got back outside.
Yeah.
You guys,
We had a good night's sleep, so
That's good.
we're ready.
We stayed up late.
How late?
We drank a beer
ourselves.
just before sleep, and then.
Oh, we made it all the way up to 10 p.m. It was
All the way to 10
All
p.m.
the
yeah,
way
but
up
that's
to
a
10
long
p.m.
time for you
Yeah,
guys.
yeah,
Yeah, we were up almost 48 hours.
Yeah.
I did some power naps, very dangerous, but I did
Risky
it.
strategy.
I did it where everybody was walking, so they would not let me sleep for long.
Yeah,
If you retreat to the bedroom, you're done.
yeah.
So I
Like
was
a
in
key
a
nap.
Yeah. So are you guys football fans or not really? You've been watching the Euro?
Yeah, we just made the half.
Yeah, I just saw it yesterday, right? You guys.
We were actually.
I was watching that from the airport.
It was so funny. This play was on to test the slideshow. For kids.
We were busy preparing, and we'll take. And we were like, what?
1-1. Oh, wait, 0-1.
Yeah, 'cause
It
Turkey
was like
scored
0.
first, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
0-1.
0-1.
Oh no, here we go again.
I thought we really had this. I thought it would be easy. But are you guys following it? Is it
Yeah.
the thing? Yeah.
I'm a big soccer fan.
Oh, are you?
I follow
Okay.
it.
And then you have
A favorite?
So I'm an Arsenal fan, so I'm rooting for England.
Oh,
I like
shit,
soccer.
yeah, we're
So now
gonna-
we'll play you guys. Yeah. But I
When's
mostly
that game?
Tuesday.
Yeah. I really want to watch it.
This is a big fight for you from my mom.
Oh, she said so.
So I'll be
Yeah.
introducing you.
Are you doing?
Yes. So I'm gonna give a few remarks to orient everyone to how the day will go, and then I'll share a brief story, and then I'll introduce you. So Frank.
I'm not allowed to say.
Yeah.
You have a sort of a schedule?
For when we'll start
Was asked to
talking, or
end
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Again.
yeah. So it'll be.
It's like, I don't think I did that well at the wedding. It was like, I
Frank,
must have
then
done something
Hannah,
right.
then Patty, Matt, and Presley.
Yeah.
So I got it all written down right here.
Just like this. And you?
Sunglasses. Yeah, gonna have my speech with my sunglasses.
I didn't realize that Mark did the ceremony for the wedding.
Yeah, for the wedding.
Did you remember these guys from?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. He didn't remember me, but I remember this guy. This guy was a
We
real
did not-
character.
Mark
Yeah,
is
yes.
unforgettable.
We did not go to the strip club. We did not.
Yeah.
This did not happen.
Yeah.
We did not go to the strip
I
club.
did not go, but I do remember hearing it. Yeah,
That's
I got a little rowdy. I remember there were stories. Yeah.
It was right in
Yeah.
It was like boundaries. Oh yeah? Yeah, it was
Dumbass thing to do the night before.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, come on.
But that's just what you do the night
That's
before
what
wedding.
you do the night before
Yeah.
wedding.
Dumbass things.
Soon after.
This was
Yeah.
good, yeah.
It's like a week before.
Mom put together this one show, actually. Yeah, she did.
Hey,
So when you
are we
guys,
on the?
Yeah.
when you
I
guys,
think
City
there's-
owns?
there's
Yeah,
usually,
we're on the camera.
one-
Yeah, yeah.
My dad's
one
confirming
place
that the live stream works.
Yeah.
that's okay. Is it on?
Yeah. Yeah, so
You
it's
got
like
so many
Nico,
photos
of course,
that
wants to
belong
show
with
us.
us.
Hello.
5 minutes.
You want to wave? Do you want to wave to the
I just
to the
did.
rest of the world?
Oh boy.
1,100 people.
Was that?
1,100 viewers.
No.
I'm not kidding.
No.
Come, I'm not kidding.
No, no.
Go take a look.
Tell us if that's true.
No, it's 1,100.
Yes.
For Frank.
Hi, Frank. Beyers. Are you speaking?
Apparently, yes. Hannah asked me to a while ago. Come on.
Is it still at a set time?
Yeah, it's
I think we're kind of waiting for people to make their way through.
it's hard.
Water.
It's gone dark. Oh, there we are. Now it's back.
Flat or sparkle?
Flat. I just don't. One of these was mine, but I don't know which one it is.
Okay.
Really nothing. nothing matches the feeling.
Also brightness.
Really? So it's,
Yeah, and
oh, the screen is.
I know the intent of the day is to celebrate, and I also
Yeah.
know that that's impossible for people, some people to do, and I also know that it's what Caleb would have wanted, but it's also what's impossible for some people to do.
Yeah.
So it's like you go back and forth between the reality and,
Yeah,
and
and
the intent.
to
Yeah.
me, this is a marker to commemorate, and so we will live on in our memories.
Yeah,
And that's the best one can hope for, right?
absolutely.
And it's heartening to see how many people, and the thousands who touched over time.
Yeah,
So that's what you leave behind at the end of the day. That's it, man.
absolutely.
I
Yeah,
keep getting
Yeah.
reminded of that.
yeah. Sorry, man. Now my aunt is calling. I wants to know. Hello. Wat? Hallo? Ja? Hoi? Oké. Ja, nu is het ook genoeg. We zijn alleen maar even aan het testen dat het werkt. Oké. Dag.
So you got attendance by video too?
Yep. We're live.
Yeah.
As we
Live
speak.
streaming all around the world.
Wat is er nu weer? Hallo?
I'm fine.
Where do you
Mom's house.
That was the long time.
Oh, a long time.
Was it in the Netherlands? In the Netherlands. Oh, and Teddy.
Yeah. There's so many people.
No, that's true. But my brother and I, we look a bit like the cousins.
Well,
so
you do. Yeah, like,
we were quite the match when we were young. We were a little bit older, but they were fierce. Really, like, they're crazy.
it's amazing how many people you touch. It's that's it. That's all we need.
And how are you related?
Not by family, just by years of collaboration and mutual inspiration. We saw life in a similar way.
Oh, beautiful.
We did a lot of stuff together that was just, reminded me when I was young. I'm too young. But I'm 71. And I met him when I was 16. So it's years of him not being prejudiced to my age, number one, and me not being prejudiced to his age. And so we did a lot of fun things together, family things. It's just, he's got a memorable and an inspiration because he reminds me of when I was young.
So that he pulled you into being young again.
Yeah. Well, I didn't need much time. I just needed company because most of the people my age just aren't there anymore. So it keeps you young.
Maybe we can.
Our bodies go on. Our brain is still.
I also, I think I'm stuck at 25 something.
Oh yeah, there's I think it's an old Chinese thing that you have two ages. That live continuously, no matter what your body's age. My two ages are 18 and 25.
18 was like the moment that you became sentient,
Yeah,
and 25 is when you're
actually.
yeah, you're like in touch with your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a nice there on the cups. There's a nice one. It says Caleb live by his purpose. Yeah, it's nice. But, yeah.
And those purposes were handled with such freedom and childlike play, which is what we strive for. Every artist in the world strives to take away all the things that stop them from playing.
Playing.
Like imaginative play, right? And he never stopped, I never stopped. And so we acknowledged that. That's how we played together on very real things.
No, I've just got ugly.
But it was still
Hey, where did you guys move?
that made it all worthwhile.
You're not taking yourself too seriously. I
What's that?
imagine.
Okay. Because this life is not a serious thing.
No. No. It's getting quite full. How many people would there be, you think? Already? Registered. Are they registered?
Yeah, said they're coming, so it's pretty big.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah, it's so nice.
Are the front rows for the speakers?
Yeah, front rows for families, so you guys should feel free to sit in any of those seats if you want. I think Patty's sitting there.
Presley's also going to speak.
Yeah, Presley's going to speak. I think right before you guys.
So we have about a 6-minute speech together.
That's nice.
3 minutes for me. 3 minutes for you. I think we'll make it. We go after President.
Is she going to sing? So what is she going to do?
I'm not sure.
Presley, we're after you. We are after you. So,
And speaking. You were doing the singing, we're doing the juggling.
yeah, and
Yeah.
thank you for
The purple.
yeah, the purple. And thank you for not raising the bar too much.
Yeah, if you could just float a little bit. Yeah. If you could just do really badly, then we'll look better after.
Yes.
It's always okay to cry and stop. That's, you know, you can. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna do great.
There's your obstinate.
You'll just see that I will be.
Okay, and you can
Yeah, yep. Okay, and Patty. And Patty.
Yeah.
So Frank.
Can you?
Patty.
I didn't know it was an open mic.
I will-
There's an open mic
It was
out.
open mic, open mic. Are you gonna sing? What are you gonna sing?
It's written down.
What are you gonna sing?
I wrote this.
Although
Yeah. So beautiful.
We're at time now, but I guess if you
How
want
about
to
a little
walking around and just ask people to.
yeah, maybe on the mic just say like 5 minutes or something like that.
Yeah, I just don't know people over there. Okay.
I will. I definitely will call her tomorrow. I'll listen. I get it. Good to see you, Frank.
That ain't make no show.
Because it really
Get everyone.
Yeah, we got some everyone walking around. Alex is going around and yes, I tried to talk to Rob. I told Rob he's going to go first on the open mic. We got to just test this. Hi, everybody. Can you hear me okay in the back? Yep. We're going to start in about 5 minutes now. So folks who aren't under the tent and can hear me, head over this way.
No, it's at one. Yeah. No, it's one. Where are you at?
Yeah, right.
Ice cream ready? Yeah, I did. Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me all right? Am I too loud? How's it sound in the back? All right. And folks over there by the trees, can you guys hear okay? All right, great. Thank you, everyone, for joining us here today. My name is Mark, and my role here today will be to guide us through this more formal part of the celebration of Caleb. But my hope is that this will flow pretty organically, as I know that's how Caleb would have wanted it. For the next little while, friends and family of Caleb's will be sharing remembrances, and then we'll also have an open mic period for anyone who wants to come up if they're inspired to speak. For those of you guys who have kids here, the art area behind me here that was created by Caleb's friend Brad is going to remain open and supervised. So if you think your kids would rather be creating art than listening to the grown-up speaking, they're welcome to spend time over there if that feels better for your family. After the remarks and the open mic, there'll be a short slideshow that Hannah prepared. And then we will have some more informal time for gathering as a group of this wonderful and special community of people whose lives were immensely improved, made more creative, made more curious, and made more fulfilling from having known Caleb. I certainly know that my life has been made that way. I met Caleb during the last week of college. I don't really remember exactly how this happened, but it was a few days before graduation, and we wound up walking from one side of campus to the other. It was maybe a 30 or 40-minute walk, and we just started talking. And I think, like most people here today, that first conversation with Caleb was life-changing. It was unlike any other conversation I can remember ever having. We barely knew each other. We maybe had a few mutual friends, but within that 30-minute conversation, we were instantly talking about art and creativity and life and adventures and all of our plans and dreams and possibilities for the life that was coming ahead. And it was just an amazing conversation. And it was one that I knew would be just the first of many that I would have with Caleb over the years. Because that was really the wonderful thing about Caleb, which is that once you met him, you just wanted more of him in your life. And what was so amazing about Caleb was that he was so generous with his time and his talents, and then he was so giving that it was easy to get more of him in your life. And I think everyone here has that experience. So he was just so brilliant and so creative and just such a one-of-a-kind person that it would seem totally natural, just after having had one conversation with him, when he would reach out to you a few years later and say, hey, I'm moving to New York with my girlfriend. Could we crash on your couch? You'd say, yes, of course. And then his then girlfriend turned out to be a wonderful and inspiring woman on her own right, a wonderful partner to Caleb. And they would be such an important part of your life that you would introduce them to your friends. And then your friends would introduce them to their friends. And then the next thing you know, they would be coming home to Pennsylvania for Thanksgiving with you and creating art projects with your in-laws. Sorry, I lost my thought. Then a few years after that, when they moved back closer to home, you'd come and visit them in Victoria, and you'd find out that they built another vibrant creative community around themselves. You'd go to the cafes and restaurants and barbershops that Caleb had helped design, and you'd meet amazing people who, like you, just wanted to gather around Caleb and experience his boundless creativity, kindness, and big ideas. And then more recently, even after kids and careers had gotten in the way of having more frequent visits, he would come and visit you on the East Coast and spend a few days, and it would be just like that walk you'd had 20 years ago. He would inspire you with his dreams for a new house and his big garden on Pender, and he would astonish your kids with some simple drawings in his notebook. And the craziest thing about all of this is knowing that you were just one of many people who had a similar experience knowing Caleb. He had an endless ability to inspire and collect talented people around him, many of whom are here under this tent with us today. And you can see it here today from the music we heard from Adam earlier to the delicious food that is being served by Brad and Kunal as part of a pay what you can restaurant project called Zephyr that Caleb was incredibly passionate about helping them open. Patty helps with these wonderful flower arrangements here today. And his brother Matt built a lot of these tiny little houses that people will be able to take home, these stackable houses in front of a lemonade stand that he and Caleb built together. And in fact, I learned here earlier that Caleb was even involved in the branding for both the cider and the beer that we'll be serving here today. And last but not least, I think I want to note that one of the most important and passionate projects in Caleb's life was the home that he was building with Hanali and the boys on Pender, and so some of the food here comes from their farm. So I'm sure that as we go on this afternoon, we'll hear plenty more people speaking about these connections and inspirations that they had from Caleb. But I'd like to start by inviting Caleb's friend Frank up to say a few words.
Thank you, Mark. It's amazing. We don't know each other, but that conversation brought back exactly the pattern that happened with Caleb. I'm not going to say all the same words because a creative, wonderful humanist all come to mind, and you mentioned them all. What summarized all that for me and what I started thinking about is the children's story, the elephant's child. For me, it kind of symbolized, and I don't know how many of you have read it to your children, but I highly recommend it. It's about an elephant with no trunk, with insatiable curiosity. And that satiable curiosity is the thing that drew me to Caleb. We shared the same view that life, a good life, is about play and is about people. And he exemplified that. He brought me back to my youth at the same time as not being prejudiced to my age. We spoke on the same level, regardless of who's who and what's what. Age, position, location, it didn't matter. And to me, that's something that is memorable. And we're gathered here today to continue all your memories of him. And that's what you leave behind. And when I look at all these faces, it's astounding how many people he touched here and online, apparently. How many hits do we have there? 500 plus. So to me, that's what we leave behind. The people we touch, the lives they live, and his memory that we carry with us and transfer and keep that going. And that's really all I have to say, except to drink to his spirit. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Hannah Lee. I'm Caleb's wife. This is going to be really hard, and I hope I can get through this. Within the first few days of knowing Caleb, he brought me into his world. He introduced me to so many friends. Many who are here with us today. Caleb made me feel seen. He could adapt to any room with any class or mix of people. He made people feel smart, interesting, and powerful. He was endlessly curious about how people's brains worked. We had amazing adventures together, and we shared hard times. There were aspects of him that were vulnerable, and I loved caring for him. We protected each other. Sorry. We had a rare love, a deep connection, and we were committed to each other. I see Caleb and our kids. I love that so much. I cherished him, and I always will.
This is overwhelming. So no parent should have to do this, so bear with me. I recently read a quote that summed up Caleb's life perfectly for me, and it goes like this. As in a tale, so in life, it's not how long it is, but how good it is. Caleb wasn't an easy child, and Luke and Matt can attest to how challenging he was to live with. And Nico and Toby in particular, they are Caleb's cousins who are here from the Netherlands, can attest to that as well. On one of our family visits to Africa, Toby had very painful shins thanks to a young Caleb. But Caleb was always interesting. He always had something on the go, building a balsa wood plane to fly at school for his buddy class, drawing something, creating something. He had a different way of looking at things and a different way of thinking. He was bright for sure. And then he was moved ahead at school, and that's when the bullying started. And he was brutally bullied, especially in middle school. But I always raised my kids to look at the flip side of the coin, and he did that. And it made him a compassionate person towards people who were struggling. And he grew into a very kind, loving, caring adult who always wanted the best for others and took the time to facilitate that. He utterly loved people. He loved being around people, and he got his energy from people. In the last couple of years, he had to come to Victoria fairly regularly to work in the company office. And he'd more often than not stay at my place. And I loved those times. We'd make dinner together, and he made a mean ramen bowl. Well, I made the bowl, he made the food. And we recently built a 1,000-piece puzzle, vintage puzzle depicting various cacti, and more about that in a bit. We'd work on various projects he was busy with, and he'd come with all these cool ideas, and I'd just be the person holding the pieces together while the glue dried. I'd run out for supplies, so I was the gopher and the cheerleader, and I loved every moment of it. I was in awe of his interesting ideas and crazy projects, the last of which was going to be a puffy dress. My Wednesday morning sewing group, who are all here today, supporting me and us and honoring him, had a Zoom call with him just 4 days before he died to finalize the details of this dress, which they were going to sew. It was to be designed as a showstopper for a trade show in London. And my Wednesday morning group have supplied all the beautiful baked goods today, which you'll enjoy later. And all these spectacular flowers that you'll see everywhere are from their gardens. So thank you, lovely ladies. We worked on a beautiful bentwood veneer, a few beautiful bentwood veneer light fixtures for his boss's lovely home. And while doing this, we would chat about our day or listen to podcasts. One about a bike rider trying to get his broken body down a mountain back to safety after being attacked by a bear. That was intense, and I think I glued my fingers to the wood. Or we'd listen to podcasts on how to raise resilient kids. He utterly adored his kids. Or we'd listen to the latest comedian he discovered, or Norm MacDonald, who he loved. Oftentimes, he would stay up into the early hours of the morning working, maybe having Zoom calls with people in Australia or Namibia or Europe. And sometimes he'd suggest a movie, but I knew then that he was exhausted because invariably he'd be out like a light within 15 minutes. And I'd just cover him with a blanket, and sometimes he'd still be there in the morning on the sofa. I always encouraged his ideas, no matter how far out they seemed, but he was also very encouraging for my creative endeavors. But I can tell you this, the most beautiful, amazing, lovely creation I ever made was him. He encouraged me to get my ceramic birds into somewhere like Garden Works. And then this happened. A couple of weeks after he died, I went to Garden Works with a friend and went straight to the tropical section to look at the cacti, as I'd been inspired by this puzzle, and saw this incredible specimen standing maybe 2 or 3 feet tall. And the young attendant came over and she asked me if I knew the story. And I'm like, no. So apparently a woman had come in with this sad-looking, very unhealthy cacti. And she said to Garden Works, you could have it if you can revive it and bring it back to health. And she'd had it for 42 years. And at that point, I began to cry. And she said, are you okay? And I'm, no. She said, can I give you a hug? I'm like, yes. And she said, would you like a piece of it? I'm like, what? Yeah, she said, I'll go ask management if I can cut a piece of it for you. Well, she didn't ask. She just went straight to her desk and got a knife out of the drawer and cut a piece off and put it in a pot with a note saying, free for mama. I was so touched by her sweetness and kindness that I went back the following week with a ceramic bird as a thank you gift for her. But apparently when I was there, that had been her last day. So the woman I talked to said she'd pass the bird on to Maddie, who dropped in occasionally. And she told me that the tropical department had decided to name the cactus Caleb. So go check it out at Garden Works on Blankentop sometime if you feel like it. And a little aside, they love the bird and want to carry them in the store. So Caleb's physical body can be taken from me, but nothing can take away his spirit. So just to end, back to our time together. I'm not a morning person, but I'd always get up early when Caleb was staying over to make coffee for us and breakfast for him. And we'd sit and enjoy it together before he took off for the office. I'd occasionally do my own thing when he was staying over, but in recent months, I remember refusing friends' invitations to hang out because I wanted to maximize my time with Caleb. You see, he was negotiating a job on the mainland, and I knew that if he got it, these special times would come to an end. I just never imagined it in this way. I'm so grateful for all those beautiful moments we shared together, and I wouldn't trade them for the world.
Wow. What an incredible turnout. Caleb would be so stoked. He would be so stoked. He would most likely take out his notepad and draw a picture of what he was talking about with you. And then it would be at the device, and he would find reference photo. And, you know, while he's in there, he'd show you photos of Hannah Lee and Asher, Elia, and the farm. Most definitely he would do that. My father was a South African doctor, an anesthesiologist who left his country and traveled Europe with my mom. Luke and Caleb were born in England, Fort St. John, Canada, myself, and then Salt Spring Island, where he lost his battle with mental illness. Caleb didn't lose his battle. He fought it with dignity, integrity, honesty, and he spoke about it openly to help other people. I'm so proud of him for that. I'm so proud of him for his academics and the way his mind worked, and he retained the information and regurgitated it years down the road, and it was unbelievable. And his creativity. I'm a stronger, more confident person because of my brother Caleb. I'm more creative, more introspective, analytical, passionate, patient, creative. I say creative. I got a chance to visit him while he was at university on Harvard. He told me, "Don't worry about university. I've done enough school for the both of us." And I loved him for it. He also told me to do a sweet grind down the rail on my bike, which I also did. Thank you all for coming today and all your generosity and love for Caleb and his family. It's overwhelming. Thank you all.
Okay. Wow, there's a lot of people here. Okay. Today we're all here to celebrate the life of someone who had touched so many souls in so many different ways. Caleb brought an unbelievable amount of light and positivity to every room we stepped into. Every room was graced by his beautiful presence. Having known Caleb through my teenage years, being a niece, he truly affected my life in a wonderful way. Seeing him when I came home, when he stayed in Victoria, walking into a home he once lived in as a child, hearing his contagious laughter along with my grandma Patty's radiating from the dining room, doing something creative on the dining room table, whether it was showing photos of family or making a puzzle, as you said, anything like that. Whenever I was able to see Caleb, he truly seemed devoured by his work and truly enjoyed what he did, besides his true happiness that was pinpointed upon Pender Island with his wife Hannalee and his 2 sons, who so happened to be the most extroverted children I've ever met, along with being incredibly well-spoken. They have a true role model, and I think we all could take use out of being a little bit of what Caleb was. Someone who was not tied to roles, someone who simply did what they loved, having creativity, thinking outside of the box, and being unique in all the best ways. Caleb will continue to be a pulse in all of our lives, keeping the thoughtful memories of him in our conscious minds. Caleb was taken too soon, but I'm holding the love and happiness he radiated into my life closest to my heart today. Thank you.
And now I know his passcode.
Hi, everyone. Nico and myself are Caleb's cousins, and we grew up on the other side of the globe from him. But through our mothers, we shared a very strong bond between each other, but also with South Africa. And on the occasions that we, the Dutchies, used to meet, our Canadian cousins, we were always so incredibly impressed by their strength and their beauty. And it always, these Beyers boys, as we used to call them, they were 3 forces of nature. They were a constellation of 3 planets swirling around this beautiful sun of warmth. That's Patty. They also shared an amazing sibling rivalry that we couldn't even get close to. And then years later, Caleb came to Shanghai and visited me, and immediately started taking photos of my house. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Yeah, you got such a beautiful house." And they're, to this day, the most beautiful photos of our house that I have. He was just amazingly talented, as we've already heard a couple of times. But and then even a few years after that, we witnessed Caleb getting married, and in a beautiful wedding with his new star and his new constellation that he formed himself, now with these 2 other beautiful microplanets floating around in it. And, looking at him as a gravitational force, Caleb was someone who could pull in people who brought in people to form art, ideas, connections. And I think we've heard that over and over again. And sorry if I'm boring you, but for me, he embodied P.P. Longstockings, who said, I have never tried that before, so I think I should definitely be able to do it. Planets should not be ripped from their orbits. And when they are, it makes us instinctively move closer to each other and love each other more and try to hold each other as we're trying to address this grief. And that's incredibly hard. My brother will read a letter that my dad wrote for you, Patty, and for the family. Uncle Rob, he's not here with us, but he's together on the live stream with many others who are losing a lot of sleep, due to the time difference. But incredibly grateful to be here. So yeah. Nico, go ahead.
No,
Yeah,
yeah. So when I was told that I'm going to read a speech for my dad, I started sweating, because if anybody knows my dad, it's long speeches, and now he's getting older and his speeches are getting shorter. So in a couple of years' time, I'll be done with one sentence, I hope. Yeah. So next year it'll be 30 years ago that Dorothy, my mother, Patty's sister, left this physical reality. And the freshness of her memory, recalled by a daily candle, cancels the notion that death would have any dominion over life. For although each life will have an end, all life continually holds new beginnings. Nevertheless, in these past years, I had to learn about grief. At first, grief is the black-winged creature that hovers overhead each time the pain of reality becomes unbearable. And then gradually, it turns into a shield against onslaught of anger, frustration, regret even, and denial. Counter to that comes the thing of blame and accusation, guilt, if you must. Although hard and relentless, it seems bizarrely, paradoxically fine, because it'll keep you on your toes. But to continue, after a long while, at a time when you least expect it, grieving will start to comfort you, cease to be a burden, grow into a tribute to the person you loved. And in this case, that is our dearly beloved Caleb, who we are now learning to let go of with all the honor he deserves. Our hearts weep at such disastrous bereavement. Yet, strange enough, the world does not stop. We need to sleep. We become hungry. Children will play. In short, while the heart weeps for what is lost, the spirit will sing eventually of what is won. The memory of Caleb, his legacy, what and how he was and is, forever will be indelible. You need not worry. We will never forget, for we hold him in our hearts and minds. He has only stepped into the other room. Thank you very much.
Whew. I'm Luke, Caleb's other brother. On April 28th, we all suffered a terrible loss. As many of you know, this is not the first tragedy in our family. We lost my dad when we were young, and it was difficult on mine and Caleb's relationship growing up. Although we always loved each other, we butted heads growing up. In the past decade, we've mended our past, and our relationship has become stronger than ever. Countless trips to Pender to visit and watching our kids play and grow together. I looked up to Caleb, and I'll always have an unbreakable love and respect for the way he carried himself through life. I think we can all only hope to be surrounded by this much love when our time comes. Appreciate every day more, as this tragedy is a stark reminder that our turn may be tomorrow. I will miss Caleb forever, but I'll always remember the remarkable human being that he was.
Thank you. So we're now going to turn to the open mic section. Caleb's college friend Rob has volunteered to go first, so thank you, Rob. But as folks would like to speak, I would ask you to come up to the front of the microphone so everyone could hear. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rob, and Caleb was one of my very best friends. I'm glad we're celebrating him. I really wish he could be here to see it. I've described Caleb to so many people over the past couple of months, and I've noticed that no two descriptions are quite the same. Depending on who I'm talking to, some particular project or passion of Caleb's will be the one they absolutely have to hear about. The stunning lamps made of huge wood shavings, maybe, or the perfectly balanced whale mobiles, or the massive pencil drawings of invented cross-sections of fantastically regular slabs of land, or the wizard staff we made together, or the painted wooden trophy he gave me once, or the period of years where he seemingly designed every eatery and coffee house and cider brand in Greater Victoria, or his photos, which radiated his presence even when he wasn't in them, or his home, the organic masterpiece in progress he and Hanali added to year after year, or their garden, or their alpacas, or their kids. Caleb and I knew each other for 2 decades, going back to college. I remember how surprising it was to meet him, a series of surprises, really. First, through his drawings, which had their own startling quality, pulled from life in that thrilling sign of a true gift. Then, it turned out this marvelous, sensitive work had been made by a guy who was built like a whole rugby team, with the elite hand-eye coordination and lung capacity of someone who'd once been on a pre-Olympic trajectory. Then, it turned out that same guy, once you got to know him, harbored an abiding spiritual naturalism and the tender soul of a philosopher, like if Ralph Waldo Emerson had somehow gotten the keys to Wolverine. Me and the other freak comedy writers at our campus magazine would ask each other, why was this hyper-capable person hanging out with us? He could have been off fixing a bike with his bare hands or punting a soccer ball into the sun. For as long as I knew Caleb, I felt like he could do anything. And what he kept choosing to do, time after time, was show up, hang out, and put the full force of his top-shelf talents behind whatever he thought sounded fun. Caleb's enthusiasm was contagious, the kind that activated those around him. I know it always brought my best out of me, and he was one of the first people I'd tell about some new thing I was trying, or a goal I had, or a project I'd done. He always engaged, asking deep questions from his unique vantage point at the intersection of expert knowledge and childlike wonder. Caleb contained a few of those seeming contradictions that in him actually made total sense. He had a draftsman's eye for accuracy and a surrealist's mind for silliness, a potent combination because there was no idea so weird he couldn't make it look real. He was a daydreamer who also had an incredible knack for practical work. One time, my husband Sandy and I witnessed Caleb shearing his and Hanali's alpacas, an all-day affair that left me exhausted just watching and helping, as I certainly wasn't the one wrestling the 200-pound mini camels onto the shaving table. But despite the inherent conflict of the activity, I remember being struck by the gentleness Caleb took with every movement, his sympathy for his herd, his dedication to harvesting these fibers so that Hanali could make them into yarn, even if it meant boxing out a toothy cartoon monster while it screamed like a roller coaster. The last time I spoke in a context like this, it was for my grandfather, my Papa Murray, in early October of 2022. As it happened, a couple weeks later, I was on Pender Island, making a long-intended, COVID-delayed pilgrimage to Caleb, Hanali, Asher, and Elia's home on Hinterland Farm. I remember eating well, drinking fabulous coffee, and watching Caleb carve various spoons and doodads out of a saxophone log of arbutus that we'd found. We got to talking about projects, and I told Caleb, for my grandpa, there's this lovely meadow where I live, and I thought it'd be cool to put down some kind of bench for him, a place to sit and contemplate. I would bet plenty of folks here can guess what happened next because it's happened to them too. Caleb said his magic words, "Oh, I could help with that." He resolved to help me figure out a memorial bench when, not if, he visited my own homestead. I now see this as a great comfort Caleb provided me, saying he would help. I could put the project and the grief it represented aside for a while. The bench would happen in its own time. Lo and behold, just 6 months later, Caleb reached out saying he'd be on the East Coast for his 20th college reunion and was thinking he could come out my way afterward. After all, he said, we needed to see about a bench. Before I knew it, there we were, standing in this powerful spot, with Caleb connecting to me, my grandpa, and this beautiful meadow next to a giant spruce grove, where I hope to channel some of the ambient majesty into the ongoing project of memory. I couldn't bring my grandpa back, but maybe I could visit him sometimes. Caleb said, okay, I have an idea, but you're going to need a giant tree trunk. So we couldn't do it right then because I was fresh out of those. But the gist was lay a big log on its side, then slice off the top of it like 4 inches, letting the bends of the trunk become the details of the seat. Voila, amazing bench. It had a simplicity, elegance, and directness that would have really suited my Papa Murray. So I thanked Caleb, we hugged it out, and I swear to you that was maybe 10% of the site-specific design work that poured out of Caleb during his visit. He designed an entire house around an empty foundation we'd inherited on our land. Not just drawings either, a freestanding 3D cardstock model with face-on renderings for every visual angle. Once again, no idea so outlandish, he couldn't make it seem real. I've looked at this model a lot recently. It comforts me to see Caleb's eye, hand, and mind, his presence in the work. I don't know when I'll be able to build that house. It's going to take more than 1 tree trunk. But like the bench, it almost doesn't matter when it happens. I have Caleb's help. It puts my mind at ease that it'll happen in its own time. Something I've realized about my friendship with Caleb, in contrast to other friendships that began when I was younger, is that we only became closer as we grew up. He set up phone calls and never missed them. Or he'd ring me up out of the blue because he was waiting for a ferry. He had infinite patience, boundless compassion, and a genuine desire to know, how are you doing? How are you really doing? And he truly wanted to hear the answer. Talk through it with you. It's a point of gratitude for me that Caleb and I had caught up shortly before he left us. I shared some gnarly drama, and he had greeted it with a warm laugh that untied all my knots about it, made me feel less alone with my BS. Caleb was so beautifully open about his own struggles with happiness and mental health, all the problems of living with the double-edged sword of a mind as sharp as his. All the radical self-acceptance he worked so hard to practice, it also made him adept at receiving and unraveling literally any problem you could bring his way. He would see right to the heart of whatever you shared, and in distilling it, remind you how he saw you, too. And then like magic, something impossible could be okay or even hilarious. A couple weeks after Caleb passed, a ferocious storm ripped through my home in the Catskills. Sandy and I woke the next morning to find that one of our spruce trees, in fact, the one closest to Murray's Meadow, had been fully uprooted by the wind. I called Alan, our local tree guy, over to deal with it because, again, I'm more of an alpaca helper than an alpaca shearer. Alan surveyed this fallen giant, told me, well, we'll be able to chip most of it, but this bottom 10 feet or so of the trunk, it's too thick for the chippers, so we can cut it up for firewood or, and this is where I interrupted him because it had taken me exactly that long to realize, oh my God, we have the raw materials to make Caleb's bench a reality in the precise spot where he designed it. I told Alan about my wonderful friend and his elegant idea. Alan was quiet for a second. Yeah, we can do that, he said, and then laughed. We call that arts and crafts. Your friend sounds like he was cool. I said back, yeah, he really was. Not wanting to micromanage, I let Alan do his thing. When he'd finished, I walked out to see his work, and there, facing the best view of the meadow, was not a bench, because it was 2 benches. One for my granddad, and a second one for Caleb. I wish I could say it had been my idea, but all credit to Alan on that one. Alan and who knows, maybe someone else too. When someone this ferociously prolific and talented leaves too soon, I think it's natural to mourn all that they didn't have time to accomplish, or all that they intended but didn't get a chance to see through. But as I've reflected on Caleb, it's occurred to me how many of his preferred tools of friendship, attention, curiosity, clarity, are also artists' tools. And I think all of us here who are together today to remember this exceptional human, we are, collectively, the project he cared most about. We're all incomplete, still works in progress. And in the future, when we might have turned to Caleb for support or a laugh or a brainstorm, we'll instead have to channel him through the tokens of his brilliance and affection that he left us. The photos, the trophies, the spoons. And especially each other. I'll say it to anyone here. If you find yourselves in upstate New York, I've got a bench you can sit on for a while. And Caleb, wherever you are, I'll see you there soon.
I could do this.
Okay, so I felt broken before today. Feeling a lot better, as you can tell. Couldn't accept it till I got here. I took him for granted. He was the executor of my life. And I counted on him to be there forever. A couple of funny ones. We met hitting on the same girl and walked away as best friends forever. So it was never had so much success with a girl, actually. He had just graduated Harvard, and I had just graduated Emily Carr. We planned a trip and went to see his friends graduate Lampoon party, which blew my mind. I'd never been on that kind of trip before, so we went to New York, and a couple of months we were hunting down all the coolest art exhibits and creative people we could find. At the time, I had a gallery in Vancouver, and I produced a lot of artists. In the 5 years, produced maybe 600 or 700 artists came through, and I couldn't really put Caleb in a box and give him a show in a way that could categorize his artwork. He was an expression of artwork entirely. Every breath he took. I went on to live in Bali for about 10 years, and every time I came back, he's one of my big guns I'd visit, and nothing had changed. We were same dear friends. Today reminds me of a bike ride I had in Bali by myself. I was driving to the beach, and I had to pull over. So I was somewhat in a similar state, but I could hardly see. And I realized I wouldn't be at my own funeral, except in the minds of those I loved. And I wouldn't get a chance to introduce my dearest friends to each other, which I think is what he would want today. He is such a passionate friend. I probably know a bunch of you for your names and stories, and I wouldn't even know to see you. So please say hi. I'd like to meet you. I have a commitment to him in my heart, to be an uncle and a friend and support on the farm. And I invite all of you to reach out. I'll be putting together a work party list. Anyone who wants to help out for any reason with Hanley and the boys' family. And I'll tell another little, for my grandmother, when she was passing, around the same time I met Caleb, I'd asked her, she'd gone to church every Sunday her whole life. And I asked her about heaven, and she said, heaven exists in the minds of those who love us and remember us, which is one of the reasons I invite you to keep in contact. I would love to remember him through you all. One of the first experiences I had with Caleb, Matt, was in our experimental days. And he had an out-of-body experience next to me. He described it in immaculate detail. From the top of the tree beside us. Unreal. I didn't realize how close he was to an angel then. I know now. And I know he's here. Love you.
Hi there. Just raise this a little bit. My name is Ben, and I was lucky enough to collaborate with Caleb on a deck of playing cards about beer, which combines 2 of the 10,000 things that Caleb absolutely loved. And I was lucky enough to meet Caleb the first week that I moved to Victoria about 6 years ago. As if by fate, I went to a talk that he was giving and then had a little chat with him afterwards. And within moments, we were best friends. It happened so quickly. I wasn't even aware of it happening. And we just had this instant connection. And we exchanged things we'd designed, and we both left with armloads of each other's stuff. And that was the beginning of this relationship that has fostered so much creativity between us and so much love. And I was lucky enough for the last 5 years to be able to spend a lot of time on Pender with Caleb and Hannah Lee and the beautiful family. And these weekends were some of the most impactful, joyful, creative of my life. We would make food together, we'd play disc golf, we'd play games, we'd bake bread, and it was just so nurturing. And it was amazing to just get this slice of Caleb's life that he was so happy to share with everyone around him. And I've been traveling in Australia for the last several months since Caleb died, and I've thought of him every single day. I can't believe how many things I see that bring Caleb to mind, whether it's a beautiful font on a sign or a bowl of ramen or something that I think, I need to tell Caleb about this. And he lives on, and he always will. And I'm so grateful to have met Caleb. And yeah, just a lot of gratitude for the whole relationship. Thanks.
Hey everybody, my name is Noah. I know Caleb and his brothers and Patty since I was very young, growing up in Port Alberni. We used to spend time at Sprout Lake. I remember memorably, my father once helped them build a BMX bike jump off the end of Patty and John's dock into the lake. That was really cool. I think they used the bike I learned to ride on to hit the jumps. We tied a life jacket to the handlebars. I have admired Caleb for as long as I can remember, and miss him so dearly. And we were connected when he moved to Victoria in those days after he'd finished at Harvard. And I remember visiting him at Shawnigan Lake School where he was teaching film. And I was just thinking on the drive over there, I wonder where those scripts are. I probably have them somewhere. And I know a lot of you will have very similar experiences of having artifacts of his creativity just tucked away. Caleb did the album art for an EP that my band released in about 2006. And actually I have a few copies left as it didn't sell terribly well. I'd like to give them away. I don't have them with me, but if you'd like to give me your address, I'd very happily mail you one. It was the last time I spoke with Caleb was just a very few days before he died, and I just wanted to share a little bit of our conversation. I was riding on the ferry and heading back to my home in Vancouver and passing Pender Island and thought of Caleb and just sent him a little note to ask him how he was, and he responded so warmly, and it was really nice to connect. And he mentioned that he was interested in making a tree net complex on the farm. I don't know if he knows what tree nets are, but you basically take paracord and you create nets between trees that are strong enough to hold people, and you can play on them. He said he wanted to prepare it as a sketch for a tree fort complex. And I said, well, I've seen those. They're insane. And he says, they don't take much, but the stakes, the ropes, some good tutorials, and man hours. And then he wrote in all caps, time. And I agreed, time is the one thing that we have in limited quantities. And I'll remember that conversation forever. And I just want to play a tune that makes me think of Caleb on my flute, just briefly. Thank you very much.
It's a great tune. Love that one. My name's Simon. I love it that we're hearing from a lot of people who knew Caleb in his later years, college life. I knew him from grade 9 when he started attending Stellies High School, and there's a lot of Stellies students out there. Go Stingers. Patty, your home was like a second home to me in those days. It was, a place where I could bring a bag of clothes and maybe stay a couple days. You didn't really have to have hard and fast plans. I remember something about Caleb, and that he is a resourceful human being. I think everyone here knows that. He can make something out of nothing. One time I was there for a day or two, and I mistakenly left a pair of skate shoes there. And the next time I came back, they were duct taped to a skateboard, which the boys were using on the trampoline. And I thought, okay, they went to a good cause. I guess those shoes are gone now. That was fun. But skateboarding was something that Caleb and I bonded over. We used to just skateboard out on the street for hours and hours, go in, consume all your food, and then go back out again and continue skateboarding. Many of you obviously know that Caleb was incredibly artistic. In those days, he'd often find himself a video camera. And in those days, we're talking like this kind, like a VHS tape goes in it. Caleb and I were skateboarding, and he was filming me. Not that I was going to do anything impressive, but maybe filming to see if I did something unimpressive. And I did. I landed very awkwardly. It's called primo if you're a skateboarder out there. And my feet came out and my head hit the pavement. Just nothing else, no hands, just head straight to the pavement. And of course, Caleb captured it with his artistic eye. And before, the shock wore off and I became violently ill, we watched that video beautifully captured in slow motion about 100 times. And it was pretty disgusting. But that was Caleb, very artistic and resourceful. One last just story about Caleb. I've actually had the pleasure of officiating a number of people's weddings who are here at this service today. And one such wedding, I was panicking because I arrived at the ferry to go over to Salt Spring Island, and the ticket agent person said, "You're not going to get on this ferry with a car." And so I, quickly drove over to the short-term parking lot and sprinted back onto the ferry. And so now I'm on the ferry with, kind of essentially just, am I going to just stick up my thumb, hitch a ride to the ferry? I don't know the address. If you've been on Salt Spring, there's no Google Maps because there's no internet on that island. And then one of the most beautiful things came into my view as I was standing up on the upper deck of that Salt Spring ferry. Caleb and Hannah Lee drove onto the ferry, and I saw their faces, and Caleb looked up at me and I looked down at him, and we just smiled, and I was like, "What are you doing here?" He's like, "I'm going to a wedding." I was like, "Is it the same wedding I'm going to?" Probably. And I hopped in with them and just had a great time of catching up with you both. And anyway, Caleb was a dear friend. One last note. Some of you obviously know that Caleb, you're both entrepreneurial minded, very artistic, and most of you are hearing about his more reputable endeavors. I just want to highlight maybe a less reputable endeavor. He in high school had a knack for replicating IDs, and none of us used them though. It was purely an artistic expression, and I just want to set the record straight. Anyway, thanks.
Yeah, ready.
Hi, folks. My name's Christopher. I'm just going to clarify that I am wearing myself on a T-shirt at a memorial, which is a choice, but Caleb designed it. That was kind of a huge part of Caleb and my relationship, was him like unabashedly supporting me, often when I didn't think I deserved it. Initially, I worked at Mole Restaurant, and I think I walked into my first shift, and he had just done that incredible art installation where he had folded cranes, like hundreds of cranes, in this little tiny restaurant. And you walked in and they were just like such a simple thing to do, but the time it took. And he was a regular because the studio was around the corner, so we hit it off. And I didn't know anything about, his pretty storied academic reputation and who he was as an artist. And I had a long form improv group that I was calling Remilio Sheen, predicating that there was another Sheen brother that was like worse than Charlie and Emilio. Like a pretty stupid idea, and he loved it. And he designed like multiple images of what that would look like for me, and didn't charge me any money. I didn't understand his pedigree or anything. He just did it out of the goodness of his heart and to support me as a creator, which just continued. Thankfully, like the last couple of years, we really connected on mental health and took long walks and drives together and just kind of hashed things out together. And I'm incredibly thankful I got that time with him. And lastly, speaking to choices, he designed the Rifflandia Music Festival. He did all the art for it and went like way overboard. I was hosting the festival at the time. This is what this face is. And he kind of made me like Victoria famous on his own. He created this image and put it on T-shirts. And the emblem for that year's festival was this big flag. And I have that tattooed on my left buttock. So I will forever be carrying Caleb's. I have thought about mooning this audience all day. I'm still not sure. Are we mooning the audience? Is that what I'm doing? Okay.
Never remember. The whole team.
Well, choices. Let's come back to choices. I think that was the most amazing part about Caleb, and what's brought us all here today is that he made such curious, investigative, precise, beautiful choices, and all those choices created relationships and family and art. And I'm incredibly thankful that his choices brought me to him and vice versa. I love you, Caleb.
I will not be mooning you. I'm thankful that he did that on behalf of all of the people who've spoken today. Auntie Patty, I love you. Luke and Matt and family said. My name's Adam Olson, and I got this text message on Friday, April 26th. Yo, Adam, got some rad ideas taking shape in my life right now. We need to talk. Can you make some time this weekend? Time in my life sucks. It's fragmented in a million different ways. I was like, yeah, I can. Obviously, Caleb's got some rad ideas. I want to hear them. And we'll do that on Sunday. That was a terrible decision to wait till Sunday to hear about the rad decisions or rad ideas that were brewing. One of the things that I recognized about Caleb was that he had more rad ideas in books than the collective group here, although there are some pretty talented people who have spoken. There's the collective ideas that we have here will not match the stuff that have not seen the light of day. Just the doodling, the fun playing around with all of the materials. So much of that is just stored away and just ideas that have been moved along. We got a chance to spend some time with the family on Pender, and it's just like notebook after notebook of ideas that could just take shape and would be the best thing that you've seen. Our family got an early introduction to the Bear boys, into the Bear family. We grew up together, going to Sunday school with each other, and we were there in the toughest times of the family's life. And I remember the cutlery being flying across the table as the Bear boys moved into our kitchen and our living room and our house and lived with us for some time when they're just, I think, 7, 6, and 5, really, really young and really tough time. And I think it was a plate of spaghetti and a fork that came flying from the other side of the table and right across. And it's a memory that I'll hold on to, and I think that our whole family will hold on to. And the reason why I read that text was because I realized that I'm sitting here listening to everybody's words about Caleb, was that he personalized it for all of us, right? Like, it was you that he was communicating with. It was you that he was wanting to share the next rad idea with. And his rad idea for me was life-changing. And I'll never forget him for that. He gave me a gift. He gave us a gift. He gave us all a gift that changed our lives. And when he'd come by our house, come cruising in on his bike, out of nowhere, no heads up, no nothing, he'd just appear. The phone would come out, and it would just be remarkable photo after remarkable photo of his wife and children and their farm and the llamas and Google has just got this unbelievable portfolio of photographs taken by just a throwaway camera that are, again, better than photographs that professional people take. It's just the way he saw the world and the way he captured it. I just will never forget the way he always wanted us to share part of his life on Pender, his life at the farm, his life with his wife and his kids. Always invite, come on over, come and have a piece. Come and see my family. Come and be with my family. I'll never forget that message that he left with me. And I think that it's a message that we can leave here. Hold your family close. He never, in all of the wild creativity, he never let his family get away from him. And I just will never ever forget that teaching that he gave me. Thank you for this opportunity.
Hi, everybody. My name is Michael. I live in Victoria. The Quakers have a tradition during their Sunday services where you sit silently and you wait until a message from God comes through you. There's no minister. Each person in the congregation is a minister, and you wait until you feel that prompting or calling. So I've been sitting here all this time, and finally felt that prompt or calling. And I'm not sure what I have to add to all of these beautiful words, but I guess I wanted to say that Caleb was a remarkable human in the way that his life and his spirit continues to reverberate on and will continue for many years. I met Caleb in 2007. Speaking of those mobiles at Mole, I think one of the last ones, actually. My son has it in his apartment in Vancouver now. I met Caleb because he was helping to build Habit Coffee, which was right next door to Mole. And during the construction, he put up this paper on the windows. And you know how you do, you cover up the shop while you're building the inside. And normally it's just white paper, but he had created this fun little drawings and an advertisement for what was to come in the business space, which was an indoor scuba diving center. And what was really funny about it was that a lot of people believed that this was actually going to happen. And with Caleb, it wouldn't be that far from the truth, really. But he had on there his contact information because they were looking for employees. And I said, I got to meet this guy. And at the time I was starting a new business, a community acupuncture clinic, which was the first one of its kind in Canada. And I had no experience starting a business, didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew the vision of what I wanted to create. And Caleb was like a midwife or a creator of people's dreams. He joined me in the spirit of that in every way possible. I was building the space, so from the interior design to the website, to our font, to our graphic images and drawings. He helped me shepherd this business that has now continued and flourished for 17 years. And Caleb is a part of my life every day, in the images and the drawings and in the space that he's created. And he touches people's lives continuously as they come into my place of business. My computer hard drive is still filled with images of his drawings and the font and his ideas. And I just, it's an honor to meet some of you and to hear some of these stories and to know that he continues to live on in the hearts and minds of so many of us. None of us get to go through life without experiencing great loss. And at 61, I've noticed that comes at a more increasing rate as you get older. And I think that what I've learned, in addition to the importance of grieving, is the importance of carrying the spirit of those individuals who pass on before we do, to take some essence or aspect of them and incorporate it into our own lives and share it with other people. And so I hope that each and every one of you will find a way to do that as you go forward, to honor his memory and his spirit. Thank you.
Just give a moment if there is anyone else before we move on. Okay. Oh, two more. Cool.
For those of you who've never seen me before, I'm Caleb's uncle to Matthew, Luke, brother-in-law to Patty, and I represent 4 boys, the Beyers boys. And I've heard a lot about the Beyers boys on Vancouver Island here. And I'm going to continue to hear about it because there's more Beyers boys behind those 3. I have 2 boys sitting right over there too right now. And everybody says I'm crazy for having boys at my age. Guess who's part of me? Living the impossible dreams, but loving every moment of it, sharing with it, being able to reach out and touch people and enjoy. I'm not creative. I've heard creativity here amongst the group that is far beyond my imagination. But when I did speak to Caleb, I connected with it as if I was doing what he was thinking and he was thinking what I was doing. He had that ability to transcend what we do as regular people on this planet. I didn't talk to him much. I didn't need to. But I talk about him and the Beyers boys here on Vancouver Island literally every week, or if not every 2 weeks of my life, whether they know it or not. There is something more spiritual, deeper, connecting us that allows us to be in this position to accept who we are today and who we will be tomorrow and who we will pass the torches on to allow them to shine and become the entrepreneurial spirits or the creative spirits who they will become. But it is within the Beyers blood that we share this, and we are connected through this. And to the extended people here, Caleb, to me, was a true honor to be connected to him through family connection, to hear about this, to know it, to feel it, and to understand the depth and meaning of it. And thank you for everybody for sharing and lighting and keeping the flame lit forever. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Luke. I've known Caleb since I was 9 years old, and we went to school together. We were both born in Cheltenham, and feel a lot of similarities with the creative path that we've taken in our life. I'm so overwhelmed with the love and the joy that is present today. Caleb brought a lot of amazing people together, and I feel such gratitude to have experienced the absolute love that I feel from this human being. Caleb maybe makes me want to be better, makes me want to practice kindness, and he always welcomed me and my wife into their home, and I had such a admiration for his ability to create in a way that he was fearless. I was chatting with a gentleman earlier before about how Caleb had a lot of amazing ideas, and as a creative person, we all have amazing ideas, but he actually was able to execute on those ideas, and that is such a rare thing. And I don't throw this word around like freely, but Caleb was a genius. He was a straight up genius. Like, he was really tapped into something. And as a creative myself, and talking to other artists, we all felt that. We all felt so privileged to be in the presence of such a force. I remember doing an artist residency gig, and I was like painting murals and, you know, doing like surface level stuff, and Caleb was sending me sketches of like concepts of like monorail systems from the West Shore to Victoria, like way above my wheelhouse. And I was just so like blown away by his ability to just explore. You know, like, there's struggles out there in this life. There's a lot of challenges and there's a lot of conflict. To me, Caleb is actually, he is truly one of those individuals that is making this world a better place. And as sad as it is that he's not here, I'm so grateful for the full life that he lived and all that he has done and everything that he has gifted myself and everybody. Thank you. Thank you, Caleb. I love you. Cheers.
Hi everyone. My name's Nick, and I'm sitting here listening to all these incredible memories and stories that I need to share a few really short things. These are not organized, and I'm just going to share them as some of these memories that will stick with me and have for forever, and some incredibly happy moments in my own journey as a someone who's worked with a lot of creative people. And I can't remember when I met Caleb, when he came into my life. The chronology is completely messed up. I don't know what year it was, but he'd come into my life and a lot of my colleagues around me with an incredible force of creativity and visual creativity, ideas, a total fearlessness in tackling things that you know, I didn't know about, he didn't know about, and he called me up soon after meeting him, and he said, "I'm having an art show, and this is a really important art show. I need to bring all these creators together, and I need to kick this thing off in a big way." And I was managing artists at the time, and he said, "Can you bring me $1.65 to open up the art show?" And it was such a out of left field request, because we'd field requests all day long and all these things. And I said, "Well, tell me about the art show a little more," and heard a little more about it. And I just sort of said, there's no way I could say no. I said, "No problem. Let me see what I can do." And I always remember calling up Rich Turfry, who's my client at the time, and saying, "So someone who you don't know is putting on this art show with a bunch of artists you don't know in Victoria. And will you come out here from Halifax and play for 30 minutes? And he just, without flinching, he said, "Yep, no problem. I'll be there." So it was such an outlandish but awesome request. And I'm so happy that he made it, because it was such an amazing evening, and I'll always remember it. And I remember it was a fearlessness in the approach to it. And then I kind of returned the gift to him about a year later, maybe, again, I don't know when it was, that I was going to China with a group of people on a music exchange sort of, I don't know what it was. It was more of like a cultural trade mission with Canadian artists. And I'd last minute, I said, "Do you want to come over and shoot a music video or a couple with us? I got a camera here." And he sort of thought about it for a while, and he's like, "Yep, let's go." So we had so little time. We got his visa together, and I said, "You can just bunk in with me, and I got a hotel room, and just come and we'll make these music videos." And so we were over there for maybe a week, and he was just, I mean, I wasn't sleeping that well, but I don't think he slept the whole time. He was out shooting everything he could, experiencing everything he could. And there's a beautiful, beautiful music video that he shot for a song called "No Nations" by a group called Jets Overhead. I think Adam is here. I saw some familiar faces. And I'm going to try and get the link sent around because I think it's on YouTube or something. But I revisited the video the last few weeks, and it's a stunning, beautiful visual to a very astute, relevant song and lyrics and the topics. And one of the scenes, we were having lunch, water, on the South China Sea, and there was these massive statues coming out of the beach that were that looked like these angels, and they were multicolored winged statues that probably stood about 200 feet tall. And then the background, there were high rises and hotels and development and the scale that we'd never witnessed, just cranes everywhere. And I thought, these are stunning visuals. We should probably get shots of these in the video. But the problem was the beach was just so full of people. And he said, no, I need to come back here when the sun rises and when there's no one here and film these things properly. And I said, okay, well, we're all flying home tomorrow morning, but if you think you can pull it off, that'd be amazing. And so it was about an hour and a half away from where we're staying. He trekked back out to that beach and watched the sunrise there and shot these massive statues on the beach. And there was just birds in the beach as the sun's coming up. And it's the most stunning visual. And I remember all waiting, Caleb's not back yet. We got to leave. And then he came rolling in just in time to get on another bus. And we went to Hong Kong and we came home. But that video, I'd like to send it around because I don't think people would normally see it. And it's such a beautiful piece of his work. The shots in Shanghai, the shots in Shenzhen, where he was basically just improvising. And it's a beautiful piece of work. And I'll share that. And another thing I'd like to share that I remember from that trip was we were hanging out with some people who just knew a lot about what was going on and where we should go eat and taking us on all these culinary adventures. And we would just go to places that I could never even imagine. And at this one restaurant we were at, someone brought us a duck that was barbecued. And it was all chopped up and the head was sticking out of the bowl. And Caleb was just fascinated with this duck's head. He grabbed it and he's looking at it. And he's like, this is amazing. And, there's a real connection between the animal and what have you, and you're eating. But then he looked at me and he said, shh, shh, and he snuck it into our friend's bag. And then closed the lid on his bag. I was like, oh my God. And it was about 2 days later that this person was like, I found a duck head in my bag. And we just were like, don't say a word. So he had an awesome, playful, mischievous side to it at times, which was incredible. Anyhow, I wanted to share those things so that they don't just exist in my mind. Casey and I loved working with Caleb on the 5th installment of our Festival of Rifflandia. Definitely challenged us to think much bigger about what was possible, in just had an incredible experience putting all that work together with him. He's had a massive impact on our lives creatively, and I think of him often. And I think I'll leave it there. So thank you for listening.
Hi, my name's Ross, and Caleb, I wanted to say Adam, who spoke earlier and I got that same contact from Caleb on the Friday night. I was busy and he had called me at 7 p.m. and I was actually sitting with the person who, Guy Ferguson, who Caleb had actually introduced me to, and I felt horrible at the moment, but I showed Guy and I was like, we were racing to get to the Royal Theatre, I hit the "I'll call you back" button, and then when we got seated that night, I did text him and just said, "Hey Caleb, can we connect tomorrow?" Which was a Saturday, and so so we did make that connection, and we chatted for about 45 minutes on Saturday, April 27th, and it was man, the ideas were flying and what have you, and at the end of it, I was busy. I was working on a project and a car project, and I just said to Caleb, "Hey, listen, just fire me an email, send me everything you need from me. Like, let's follow up, and then we'll follow up." And he did send me that email at 1:01 a.m. on the morning of April 28th. And I won't go into the details of that, but I just want to say he signed off saying, "I hope you were able to get back into your project with abandon," and which was just so much more important than all the other details of what was going on. It was just, that was just so Caleb to me, was like, he finished up, like he just so cared about that I got to get back into my day and do the thing that I really wanted, was sort of doing that day and what have you. And it was just, it was just like amazing. And so the next day I got a call letting me know what had happened, and I kind of feel like I want to share a little bit. That night, I went to sleep. It was actually the next night, and I had this dream, and it was like the most intense dream of my, like, it just, like those dreams that just stand out. And I was in my backyard and I saw something move, and I turned around and Caleb was walking towards me, and I was like, and in that moment I had forgotten what had happened, and I looked to him and I was like, "Caleb," and he looked at me and he just gave me this really knowing nod and disappeared. And I was just like, "Oh my God." And I realized then what had actually happened. And it was just like, even in death, like he was like sending this message about the clutter and going back to Adam. And I hate to make this worse for Adam, but I just, like, I could have as easily said, push that call to Sunday or Monday or whenever. And for whatever reason, I had that moment, and I did connect with them and connected hard, and super grateful that happened. But it's sort of a message in life. We got to all say yes more, and we're running out of time, whatever. So similarly, I think we've covered all the creative stuff. I love Caleb. They had so many great memories, and thanks.
Hi, everyone. My name's Chris. Caleb was my friend, and we met. I'm a terrible public speaker, just so you know. Actually, I did a terrible job of speaking at Caleb and Hannah-Lee's wedding. Kind of hoping to make up for it now. We'll see how it goes, but bear with me. I'll keep it short. I met Caleb as an adult. Noah actually introduced us, the flute player, earlier, and he blew my mind right away, just in the way that he thought about things and thought creatively about the world, and brought this ambition that I think I'm an island boy, born and raised, and I guess at heart I'm kind of a small town guy, and Caleb taught me about the world and how to think about the world, and to have that ambition to not be afraid to try to do things. So he actually helped me found the kind of creative agency that my dad and I had, a fledgling agency, and I was more the nerd and he was the creative one, and we kind of went off. We're going to have this joint partnership, and it went both well and not well, in that the company is now 20 years old and we still use the logo that Caleb designed 20 years ago. But we fought a lot when we were partners, and we had very, very spicy conversations about how the company should operate, and where we should go and everything. And I think of that as kind of a fractious time initially. But when I look at it now and I reflect on it, I think it was some of the greatest creative learning that I ever had. I mean, I think Matt, you said earlier that he went to school for you and him, and enough learning for both of you. I think I had the same experience where he brought something to my life. He added to my life in a way that I mean, I'm sure you all have experienced, so I can't really add more to that. I think you all just kind of know what I mean by that. I wanted to share, just similar to Nick, I wanted to share a couple of funny stories. They've already kind of come up, but I'll kind of close the loop a little bit. So our company is called The Number Creative, and my dad and I, we also argued a lot. I guess I'm the common thread. We couldn't agree on a name for the company, and Caleb came in one day and he said, "You know what? We had to incorporate, and we just had like The Number Company." He said, "You should just call it The Number, and it's just a number. It doesn't really matter anyways, it's just a number." And that has become our number, and that's a story I tell all the time, and I always attribute Caleb to that idea. And he made a beautiful logo, and even though as a creative agency you think you'd have a really clever and sophisticated name, that actually really resonated. Yeah, he was challenging to work with sometimes because of his ambition, and he would always ask a lot, but he would also always give much more. Like if Michael spoke earlier from Hema, and I was laughing because he did the website and he made a custom font for this website, which was a huge pain in the ass and cost me all kind of consternation for years. And I Caleb, every time I would get frustrated, I'd say, "Oh, that's really hard. How are we going to make this work?" And he'd be like, "It's worth it. We just you gotta strive for that ambition." And yeah, I think that idea of thinking big and swinging big was something that he really taught me. I wasn't going to be that ambitious. I think maybe I talked a bigger game than I was, and he taught me that you could just really lean in and just go for it, and that made a lot of sense. Yeah, there's a lot of stories. I think I'm not going to tell them all, but one of those thinking big moments was we had just met, and he said, "You know what we should do? We've got a creative agency now. We should publish a book." And I thought, okay, sure, why not? So he figured out the global economy, order it from China, figure out how to design and publish his own first book, get sponsors on board, solicit artists from all around the world. And he said, "You know what we need to do? We need to have a party to go along with this book." And he said, "And you know what? I just made a friend in the entertainment industry, in the arts industry, and I think he could get us like a big name artist." And so it's funny to hear your story and my story, of he said, "Yeah, I think for $500 we could get Rich to come out." And at the time that was a big deal. And we had launched The Make on the backside of The Number. It was The Make, and it was supposed to be our kind of like our big grand opening. We were leaving our studio, and just the diversity of his skills to go from like business entrepreneur, graphic designer, illustrator, artist, to negotiator, to collaborator, to like salesperson, just over the span of like watching him power through that type of thing, just over like it was like nothing. Like he would just lean in and he would just make it happen, and that was really amazing and true to form. I think it was $500. Rich showed up. We weren't allowed to promote it, and we never got our. I think it might have been me that kind of fucked up, and we didn't get our liquor license, so we did it completely illegally. The cops came, and Caleb and I looked at each other. I was like, "I go down and stall the cops. You clear all the beer out." And I stalled, I don't know how long, 3 minutes. By the time I came up, Caleb had all the beer cleared out, and we were serving water at our bar, which the cop gave us a pretty sketchy look. But he didn't, he had nothing, no evidence, right? So over the last 7 or 8 years or so, I haven't really been as close with Caleb. It's sort of, they lived afar for a while, and having kids myself, and then Caleb and Hannah Lee. Kind of the timing didn't work out that we didn't connect as much, but anytime I did see him, it was always like an old friend. And I had the great privilege in the last 6 months or so when we reconnected in December, and he stayed at my house a couple of times, and we had some great dinners, and my kids got to know him as an adult. And it was really after this last little wave of time that I realized we were best friends, and I've heard a lot of people say that Caleb was their best friend. And I think we can all be best friends with Caleb because he had that much love to give. That's all.
How's that?
I'll never forget every time we went down to your office to draw pictures together. I'll never forget every time we'd go into the woods on Pinner Island to go mushroom picking with my dad and Asher and Amelia. I'll never forget every time we'd play hide and seek in the garden. And yeah. I miss you so much, and I wish that you didn't go so soon.
Well done. We're done.
Think you want? No, I'm putting it up higher for you.
Thank you. I'm not too good at this, everyone, but I've known Caleb and the Beyers boys since I was a young boy, and we've shared our father passing away, which made us kind of all tight, and we kind of bonded. I've had a different relationship with Luke, Matt, and Caleb. They all served me in a different purpose. But what I really want to instill here is to be known by the Beyers, is to be loved by the Beyers. And that is where I felt as an orphan. Thank you. And I love you guys to this day. And that's all I can really do at the moment.
Looking around, I think we'll move on then. Thank you so much, everyone who took the time to come up and speak, and it's really, really moving. So as we break from this more formal part of the afternoon, everyone is encouraged to stay and hang out with what we've heard is this amazing community. I'm so excited to meet many of you out here I haven't met before. I just wanted to let you guys know about a few other things. Inside, there's an art show of Caleb's art, so please take a moment to go in there and check it out. Also inside is a memory wall where you can write down some memories of Caleb that will go with Hanali and Asher and Ilya back to Pender with them. When I finish here, we'll do a slideshow that Hanali put together for about 8 minutes or so before we all break. But there's a longer version of that slideshow also playing inside if you guys would like to see that inside. Caleb's friend Brad put together a wind telephone, which is down by the water down there. I'm not sure if anyone has seen a wind telephone before, but it was created by a Japanese artist as a way of grieving a lost cousin. And people are welcome to go down there and reflect and communicate with Caleb and messages that will be sent to him on the wind. I'd like to thank Alex and Brad and Hanali and Patty and Luke and Matt and everyone who did everything to put this together today. It's really been a wonderful celebration of Caleb. And just in closing, I would say, I think we all know that it is sad beyond words that Caleb is not here with us today. But as we heard from all of the wonderful people who spoke, we know that Caleb's big mark on the world has not come to an end, and that he is still here with all of us, inspiring us whenever we're dreaming of serendipity and human connection, imagining new possibilities, or experiencing the deep and enduring power of a meaningful conversation with a dear friend. Thank you, everyone.
Goes like this, the fourth, the fifth, the life of the major lift.
Thank you again, everybody. So please feel free to enjoy. We've got a lot of time to hang out and look forward to spending time with everyone.
Hey, Mark. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can.
New restaurant, new baby.
Hey, how are you? I wanted to say hi to you.
Oh, you did it again. Best scones I ever had. Best kombucha I ever had. Best kombucha I ever had.
Excel, whatever they Yeah, I only had a few brief years in that teaching occasion in Sunday school, but man, I was working for
Go away, go get inspired.
Hi, Patty. I just wanted to give you a hug, Patty. I don't know if you remember me. Mika, we met.
That's right, yeah. I remember that. Thank you for coming out today. That's
You guys did very well.
Everybody does.